Hey everybody, it's Jeff from the Great Heights and Barely Controlled Chaos, and we thought spring had kind of sprung. It's still winter, obviously, but we kind of thought that maybe spring had started to set in. But yeah, snow this morning, and it's 31 degrees, so it's not warm. I'll talk to you about what we're doing. So they say you shouldn't put up permanent fencing until you've been a place for a couple of years. The last place we lived, they already had permanent fencing in, which was great. And when we were in New York, we'd been there for a number of years, but we never put up any permanent fencing for the goats or anything. I'm going to go ahead and say that we're going to do this ahead of time, a little early. I'm starting to put these fence posts in. This is just for electric fence, so the fact that this one here is a little bit off kilter is not a big deal. I will actually probably straighten it out. But what we're doing is we're taking these and we're just kind of putting them in the ground. I don't have a corner post in, but it's going to go just beyond where the trailer is. And then we're going to come down here. The fact that it snowed kind of stinks, but it didn't freeze the ground, and it actually had made it a little softer. So hopefully we can actually get these in. So the plan is to get them all the way from where we were back there, just about where my finger is. That's where we're going to put the corner post in. I'll walk down here. And run it all the way down here. Down to just about there. So there's a nice trail that runs here, and so I want to run the fence up to the trail and not block the trail. Then this whole area will turn into pig pasture that we can divide up into smaller sections to allow the pigs to come through here. The goal is we're going to be separating the sows and the boar and the piglets. As we're raising piglets out, we want to let them be separated from the mama. And so we're going to cut back. The fence is going to cut back right about here. It's going to go through that area and then up all the way back up to where the other end was. So it's a lot of posts to put in. We're going to work on that this week. But we're also going to try to get the... we need to move some animals around. As I told you, that the pigs we moved... you saw in the last video, we moved the pigs down to the pond. They're doing great down there. But it's obviously not spring yet, and so they haven't started. There's no new vegetation down there, so they're eating all old vegetation, which is fine. There's tons of it down there for them to eat, but we're gonna have to keep moving them quite frequently because all it is old vegetation and not new stuff. And that's fine too. It just means more work for us, but it is what it is. That's the way it goes. So that's our plan. And I'm going to talk specifically about the pigs in a couple minutes, but let's talk about the goats for just a minute. So as you may know, we moved all of our animals into winter pastures or winter areas. This is a kind of a small area for these goats, but the goats are in here. Their shelter's fallen down, but anyway, we move them into this area right here, and they need to move. The plan was to actually move them this week. All right, so what we're going to do first, before we go down and talk about the pigs, and I'm going to talk about them in a minute, is we're going to move the goats today. That's our goal. They've been in this winter pasture for several, pretty much all winter. It's still not spring, but they really need to move. They've eaten everything that was in here. They've eaten all their hay, so we need to move them. We are going to get them some more hay, but at the moment we're just trying to get them out of this little pasture. We're going to put them where there's a lot more green stuff, in one of the little tree shoals, so that they have more stuff and more shelter and more pretty much everything. So first thing we're going to do, obviously, back the trailer up here. I'm just going to open up their fence and then let them hop in there. So hopefully that'll work out pretty well. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. We'll find out which one this is today. All right, so step one is complete. We've got them in there. The prevailing wind is going this way, coming toward us. So I've got them in the trailer, so they're out of the wind. Gave them a bunch of straw and hay and a little bit of food, put their water in there. So they're going to be in there for an hour or so, probably, while I get their fence moved. In the meantime, let's go talk about some pigs. All right, as I've said several times, we're going to fade out some of the pigs that we're using, and we're going to switch to another breed. And that breed is these Mangalitsa's. And there's a couple reasons for that. And mostly it's about them being hardier, sturdier pigs. Now, there are some drawbacks to that. The hardier pigs, the sturdier pigs, they're slower growers. Where a typical commercial pig will take you anywhere from 8 to 9 months to grow from just born to ready to go to the butcher. These guys are about twice that length of time. So these little pigs right here were born in July. It's now February, and you can see that they're nowhere near ready to go. Normally that would be just about right, if this was a commercial pig. Now you can as some people have found out, you can feed them so that they will grow that fast. They'll grow super fast, and you'll end up with pigs that are ready to go to butcher same time as a commercial pig, or within a month or so. But what you end up with is a very lardy pig. You're going to end up with just tons of lard, because unlike the commercial pigs that have genetics that they turn all of their food or most of their food into meat and not all of it into they turn most of their food into meat no matter how much you feed them. These guys are much more like humans, and when you feed them that much, they just convert it to fat. And so you don't necessarily want that fat or lard or whatever you want to call it, but they just convert it to fat. So you feed them much slower. You feed them slower, and they grow slower, and they become much better pigs, or much better tasting pigs at the end. Our pigs are all a little bit skinny. We had some stressors this year that caused some problems, so we're working on rebuilding that. But you can see this one that we just got, the big male here, he is a definite sign or definite show of how big they can get and how big, what they look like when they're done. So yeah, these pigs are slower growers. They eat less grain, so they're much better on that at a time, but they do tend to eat a lot of forage. They're not rumen animals. I don't want to make that mistake. Don't think that you can convert a pig who's not a rumen animal into a rumen animal, but they will eat a lot more of that stuff than a commercial pig will. Commercial pigs will eat it too, but they don't like it. These guys actually like it. So yeah, we've got these pigs. We're going to grow them out slowly. They take somewhere between a year and 14 months to grow out to full size. And when they grow out to full size, they're great animals. So anyway. All right, so we did, after about an hour, took us about an hour to get the goat pen torn down and put it back up. This is not a permanent thing. We're going to put them back in the electric fence netting that we've got over the summer, but because there's just not a whole lot for them to eat. I mean, we really need to keep them kind of compact here. So we've got them in here. They seem to be pretty happy. They already went to town on a lot of the little stuff. There's still a lot of stuff in here for them to eat. Plus, there's a lot of vegetation and a lot of shelter for them back there, natural shelter. So as you can see, Shark's already been rubbing on that branch there. So yeah, they seem to be pretty happy. We'll obviously give them more as the summer goes on. I'm gonna get them some hay and stuff very soon. How you doing, Milky? You gonna have kids soon? So she should have kids soon. Look how big she is. But yep, that's what we're doing, and that's what we got done today. And I guess until next time.